A gallon of gasoline for 99 cents. Oil prices plunged to 18-year lows, and we've just witnessed the steepest drop in oil in history. We're going to talk about that and more. Hey everybody, JJ here. You're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. It is Monday, March 30th, and hope everyone is well. For those of you out of work, I hope you're maintaining and I hope you're using the time to your advantage. I hope you're spending more time with family, or if it's just you, maybe now's a good time to dip your toe into some hobbies that you didn't do because you were too busy working. Just trying to put a positive twist on not working, but hopefully everyone is well. Hope everyone is staying above water for now. Let's talk about these gas prices. We're going to talk about where it's the cheapest and where we're seeing 99 cents. Here in California, we're still hovering about $3, so we're not seeing too much relief. But with empty freeways and indefinite amount of downtime here with this cerveza bug, we could see oil prices and gasoline prices continue to drop. So crude prices 18-year low. The session lows here just today was $19.27. Global oil consumption cratered by $12 million a day for this quarter here, and that's the steepest drop on record. Oil prices have now declined 68% since the peak in January, which was about $63. And we're going to talk about a little known fact that gas prices dropped for 20 years until this golden event struck. We're going to talk about what that was, or more likely titled the non-golden event struck. We're going to talk about what that meant and how that played an important role in rising gas prices after that. Let's start right here. This is out of macrotrends.net. We see to the right of the chart this enormous plunge here, and there's simply no doubt about it. Every day continues to see a record set in some sort of category. In this case, oil prices now setting records for the steepest drop. Now, we also saw a pretty big drop back here in the mid 80s, which was a steeper drop overall, but it took longer to play out. This time they're calling it the steepest drop because it was the steepest and the fastest decline in oil prices. Now let's go over to Gas Buddy right here. This is going to show us gas prices nationwide. Of course, you see the yellow is the most expensive gas. That's us here on the West Coast, especially California. And the purple and the blue are the lowest prices. We do see spots here in Texas, Wisconsin, also Michigan, much of the Midwest there. Kentucky looks like, and Missouri. And seeing gas as low as 99 cents. Here's an article here out of patch.com talking about gas prices in Wisconsin. Now, this is kind of a bittersweet price drop because everybody wants lower gas prices, unless you work in the oil industry, of course. Then you might get laid off because of the lower demand. And also unless you're an oil company executive or something like that. But generally, the majority of the population want to see lower gas prices, but we didn't want to pay this type of price where so many people are stuck at home. In this case, in California, you're threatened if you leave the home. They're actually threatening people here with $1,000 fines if you're out without a, quote, valid reason. So now if a cop wants to do it, he can harass you and stop you and ask you where you're going. And if he doesn't think it's a valid reason, guess what? You're going to get stuck with a big fine. So what we're seeing here is, in my opinion, a government using this crisis to do an authoritarian crackdown on people. And you notice how when events like this happen, you continue to lose more and more of your freedoms. Well, that's what's going to happen. They never let a good crisis go to waste. Of course, we also know the government, they're in a power grab right now. They're nationalizing institutions, corporations, the Fed, you name it. We're going to talk about that more in a later episode. Very interesting time to be alive indeed. Very dangerous times too. And we could only be seeing the tip of the iceberg here. But if you're someone that still has a job and your life hasn't changed too much with this cerveza bug going around, hooray, hooray for better gas prices, right? Lower prices. Now, from a production standpoint and a job loss standpoint, this could hurt the United States more than most other countries. Why? Because the United States, we are the #1 oil producer in the world. Now, it's interesting that at the same time, Saudi Arabia and Russia are both flooding the world with excess oil. And this is the time when an opposite approach would be ideal. But it is that price war that's exasperating the pain in the oil markets. Now, oil did start to stabilize up until the president came out and he extended the current social distancing guidelines out to April 30th. As one of the disease experts came out, one of the doctors came out and says the U.S. could see millions of cerveza bug sicknesses or cases and over 100,000 or more deaths. Now, we had the governor here in California say, well, 25 million people could be infected here in California. And because markets are forward looking, that's one of the reasons why we're seeing an unprecedented drop in oil. And of course, you have the current slump in demand with most people staying home right now. So this drop in prices in oil and gas shows you that it's still about supply and demand. Even if they continually print the dollar into oblivion, it's ultimately supply and demand that's going to dictate the price of something. Now, there were certain people, and I won't call them out by name, but certain so-called experts had predicted hyperinflation because of the continuous printing of the US dollar, right? Unlimited printing out of the Fed. But if you have too much of something and too little demand, prices are going to fall no matter how many dollars they print. The problem is when the economy is flooded with so many dollars, typically demand surges because then people go to spend it as banks give out more loans, as people run up more debt on credit cards. Of course, the travel industry, people taking more vacations, all that has puts a upward pressure on gas prices. Right? So many people are saying, hey, this is good deflation. We'd like to see lower prices. Now we can buy more gas. And many people are actually not only filling up their cars, they're getting as many gas cans as they can and filling up as much as they can right now while the prices are low. Now, to prove my point here on the supply versus demand theory, let's take a look at these prices here going back all the way to the 1940s up until we came off the gold standard in the early 70s. We did see prices remain pretty stable and actually decline for about 20 years. Yes, there were ups and downs seasonally, but overall it was a decline of about 20 years. And magically we got taken off the gold standard in 1971. That unleashed the creation powers of the bankers to print unlimited currency without being backed by a gold standard or being even partially tied to the dollar in gold. And what happened, all the new credit being pushed out into the economy, all the new debt created a surge in demand, and from there we saw oil and gas prices shoot up. Now, of course, we did have downturns in between, including the current downturn, but I don't think it's a coincidence that we came off the gold standard in the early 70s, and gas prices then, or oil prices then went from being $20 a barrel all the way up to over $100 a barrel in less than 10 years. Okay, we'll go ahead and link to this gas chart for those that want to check it out. So we again have a case where someone else's loss is another person's gain. If you haven't really been affected by this freeze up of the economy, then you're enjoying lower gas prices. And you can actually go out and burn the gas if you're not afraid to leave your house. Here in California, again, a lot of people were afraid to leave the house because of the threats from our quote unquote leaders. But when I did go out and go to the store here a few times, it seemed like a zombie apocalypse movie where the streets were just about empty, even in the middle of the daytime. So hopefully we'll see something good come out of this at the end. A lot of companies are now doing the work at home thing, and hopefully that'll stick because it's going to save so much congestion on the roads if more companies can have people working from home. So maybe after all this is finally done, companies will continue to have people working at home. That'll be less congestion, less people on the streets, less traffic jams, less pollution. You know, think about all the millions and millions of cars that go back and forth each day in this country just to go sit in an office, sit behind a computer, and then come back home. So all that gas and fuel being burned, all that pollution, just so somebody can go sit at a desk and do the same things that they could do sitting at their home at a desk on a computer. Now, one of the really crazy parts is this cerveza bug that's going around the world is actually slowing down in many other countries. The rate of infection is slowing down, but in the United States, we are now the country with the most cases, and we're still accelerating in new cases, new people coming up with this illness. So we could continue to see more pain, more quarantines, more lockdowns, lower demand, and even lower gas prices. Imagine 50 cents a gallon gas in some of these states. Pretty amazing. but also pretty shocking and concerning at the same time. So hope everyone out there is well. Thank you for watching this channel. And please give us a thumbs up if you like what we talk about. If you haven't subscribed, please give us a subscription, as we do touch on a lot of different topics on this channel. Everything from home prices to gas prices to automobile prices and sales, interest rates, debt, borrowing, recessions, economic crashes and declines, fake markets, manipulation, lying politicians, and all of the above. Come back for more. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.